And if you put that out on the web, I'm going to kill you.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of From the Archives, where Paul and I take a look at items from our company's rich history. Today we're going to take a peek at what's inside Paul's safe.
You know, when I think about the archives, I think about all the guitars.
Right.
This is a different animal.
There's a whole other aspect to it. There's a lot of documents and photographs and all kinds of stuff.
There's a lot in there. All right.
That it is fascinating to me, anyway.
All right. Well, here we go. So we found this cabinet. It's a, kind of a personal safe, not, one you'd find in a bank, but it does really well. It's got great specs if there's ever fire. Everything's fireproof. It does what it's got to do. And it's stuffed. It's completely full.
I'm sure. But my question is, actually, we have way more items than would actually fit in that safe. How do you determine, what is valuable enough to go in the safe?
Well, if it's an original trademark for PRS or the body shape, the original goes in here.
Right.
The copies go in here. It's easy to get copies. The originals are hard to come by. Right. So there's a lot of stuff in here. It's completely full, but I think we've done a good job on what's in there and what's not.
Well, let's take a peek.
You want to get in this thing?
Yeah. Let's crank that thing open.
All right. And it doesn't look like much.
Doesn't look very secure. All you did was pull the handle and it came out.
Well, it's just because before we started, I said, you want me to put the code in? And you told me no for the video. That's not fair. So this one is all the investor stuff for PRS and the partnership. All of our amp trademarks and guitar trademarks and logo trademarks are in the next one. Our copyrights, our guitar patents, our business contracts, and some of the stuff for our overseas companies that we own. And then there's lots of stuff in the bottom, which includes artist contracts, the rules of tone, all that stuff. So what do you want to, and there's all kinds of drawings in here too. What do you want to see?
I want to see some of these drawings.
Well, why don't we pull?
What do we got over there?
Let's pull these out. Let's just start with,
making a mess.
No, you're making a mess.
Stepping on it.
You're making me pull my stuff. All right, let's look at this one.
All right.
This is the original drawing of the bird inlays. The very first original full-size drawing of the bird inlays.
Speaking of bird inlays, do you have the brass cutouts? The masters?
I do, I have.
Can we use those to hold the paper down?
They're not paperweights.
Well, I mean, they could be for this.
Wow.
It would look cool.
These are the original jigs that I used to inlay the birds in my old shop.
And we would use a Dremel tool, right? Like a little tiny router and route out each one.
And the shaft of the tool would ride on the brass and the cutter would cut it out below.
So time consuming.
Well, you had to double stick tape it exactly in the right place.
Yep.
And you would cut the holes out with these. And
what do you got there?
Well, there are more of these bird jigs. Those were the ones from my original shop, and these were the ones for the very beginnings of the NAMM 20 and all the beginnings of the factory. And we coated them with this black stuff so that they wouldn't wear out. But you can see they had started to wear out. Do you see that?
Oh, yeah.
The thing that's fascinating is these jigs came before these drawings. I needed these drawings to start to get outside people to make the inlays.
Oh, wow.
Because you had to send them accurate drawings of what the bird would be, and I think these were 10 times the size.
Yeah.
But, for me, I think these belong in the safe.
So did you just photocopy these and keep hitting enlarge?
No, I had other drawings that I went from.
Oh, yeah.
These were made from drawings. They weren't made from...
Gotcha.
These were not the original shapes. This was the original for cutting a hole that the inlay would go into. At the time, there was a little teeny bit more gap in places, and we would make epoxy and mix it with rosewood powder and then put it in. Now, the holes are so accurate from the CNC that you can just flood it with super glue, and literally you can feel the air press out when you press the inlay in. They're so accurate. They're only, half a piece of paper distance around the bird in the hole. It
Yeah,
just
it's pretty amazing.
squeezes out. But that here, and so this would be a copy of it that you would send off to the inlay people.
You can use these to hold it down.
Say, here are our original drawings, you know.
Here, lay it out. Get a good look at it.
So,
There we go.
I mean, they're much bigger.
That's awesome.
So,
This one's obviously the most famous because we've used it for so many logos and stuff for accessory
I always
stuff.
liked
And
this one.
I like that one
I
too.
thought the
Is that
turn, it was one
turn?
of the only ones that wasn't an eagle, you know. This was,
yeah,
at the time, a poor representation of a kite, but
yeah. I like this one too because it's very
yeah.
dynamic.
yeah. So, and there's a hummingbird. That wouldn't be a falcon either, right?
Yep.
So that would be one bag of stuff that came out of there. Let's look at what this drawing is here. It's below you. Turn
Okay.
it over and just take a look at that. Oh boy,
Well, that's complicated.
do you know what that is?
I have no idea.
That is the original manufacturing tree that my father and I did for the assembly line. Order the boards, receive and store the boards. You know, everything from ordering everything and everything you would do for the earpieces, for the truss rod inserts, for the rod slot inserts, for the fingerboards, for this, that, and the other, all to make a neck.
Wow.
It was called a tree. You know, so you would have all these parts come down, and then finally at the bottom you would have a neck.
Right. I didn't realize your dad helped you with
He
that.
did help me with it.
Yeah.
So that was kind of cool.
Your dad was an interesting fellow.
He was an interesting
Happy
fellow.
that I got to work with him a little bit at the beginning of the technology stuff.
So here's more of it, more of the tree, right? This would be
Oh,
for
wow.
the bodies. It was all done. What we should do is frame this stuff. It certainly shouldn't be in archives. I mean, the curly maple neck blanks.
Yeah.
Curly maple top blanks. Every one of these pages was a different part of the guitar. Maybe what we should do is frame it and put it up on a wall, or
Yeah,
make
have
perfect
it scanned.
copies, or
Yeah.
you could scan it or whatever. And it'd be nice if they were the same color with the same pieces of dots of coffee on them, you know. That would be great. But I haven't held them in a really long time. It's nice to see them again. Let me see what else is in here. I mean, we're not even getting into the trademarks. We're not even getting into all that. These are just the drawings that are sitting on the side, right? Oh, look what this is. Oh, you need a picture of this. This is the original Sorcerers Apprentice drawing. So that is the first time that was ever drawn, that headstock. Those are the tuning pegs that we've now gone to. This is the first version of the moon inlays that were smaller than 1/4 inch. This
Nice.
was the first time that there was a cross section actually drawn with the neck and the body in it. This was it. This was the beginning. I thought that we were going to end up with a 27 fret guitar where it was angled, but that is the original headstock. Isn't this guitar here? Can I see that?
Yeah, let's look at that bridge because this is definitely an earlier version
That's
of the bridge.
two sets of 3 tremolo bridge, right?
Yeah.
So here it is in reality, and this is what you call 2 sets of 3. This was a stop tail, so you were able to move them so that you could adjust the high E and the G string, and the B would fall in line. Very often, almost always, the 3 plain strings line up in a line and the 3 wound strings line up in a line, so there was a way to
So that's
do it.
kind of similar to the non-adjustable bridge.
That's that is very similar to the non-adjustable bridge. It's also, I think, what's on a Vela, right?
So, yeah, it has the
2 sets of 3.
2 sets of
That
3. Yeah.
the 2 things are adjustable.
That's right.
Yeah, it's the same kind of thing. On the stop tail, you adjust the outside and you get the high E and low E right, and everything falls in place. With this
Right.
one, you would get the high E and the G right, and then the B would fall in place.
Gotcha.
On certain models of guitars in the beginning of the 60s, they were using a wound G, so it would be 4 of them in a line and then 2. But it all got changed to an unwound G, industry standard later. So that's why those bridges don't work, because they were all designed for a
A wound G.
wound G.
Interesting. If everybody wants to see more about this guitar, there is an episode specifically about it. You can check that out on our YouTube channel.
Cool. So let's take a look at this drawing, Mark.
What we got?
That is the original drawing of the original, what is now S2.
Oh,
early.
Oh, it was original,
original.
like simplified body design.
Yeah. And it didn't fly, but I mean, we've been working on this design for a really, really long time, and these are copies of it. But this is the original drawing.
Yeah.
It was the beginning as I was thinking about doing bolt-on necks instead of glue-in necks.
Right.
So, I mean, it's in the archive. It's cool. They're valuable.
And what year would that have been, do you think?
88.
Wow.
1988, something
Earlier
like that.
than I thought.
Here's one that's interesting.
What the heck is that?
My father was the person who got,
hard to look at.
got radars to work in World War II.
Yeah.
The English had made 3 radars that worked. They'd send one to the United States, and one of them got copied by GE and they didn't work, and my father got the job to build a company to make radars. And this was the beginning of using radar technology on audio signals. And what all these boxes are peaks, things that were louder than the things on each side. It's minus 59 there, minus 47, this is minus 44, which would be louder. So he had marked all the peaks and gone meticulously through the whole thing with a highlighter and pencil and found all the important audio moments in the file. And this was the beginnings of him working on the ping pong table for now, which is Digital Harmonic and Digital Harmonic Medical.
Right.
So Digital Harmonic is a company that was started by my father and I. And now if you saw the Super Bowl on Fubo this year, they were using our code to half the bandwidth but double the quality of the picture, which is thought to be impossible, but it's not. Because if you can find all the peaks, you can send less data down the line and you can have the picture be much better because there's lower noise. It's very cool. So then we're taking all those technologies that Digital Harmonic did and we're starting to apply them to medical. That's what the other company is, but this was the very beginning of it.
That's amazing.
Yeah. We call it the ping pong table because it was a big enough thing that he could lay it out and start working on finding the data in the file.
Right.
He knew that the data would be in the file, but he just didn't know where it was. You see how this is a straight line right here?
Yes.
That's a measurement anomaly. That's actually not information. I said, Dad, what is it? He says, that's a measurement anomaly. But all these other ones, there's another measurement anomaly, see it right here. But all these other ones are real data in the file that were important, and if you removed those and left the other ones, you would hear way lower noise and information you were looking for that people couldn't dig out of the file. I mean, that's radar is sending a signal out and measuring it when it comes back. In audio, we were measuring the audio, and then we were doing a spreadsheet of it and was able to separate somebody's voice from another person's voice, where one person was talking way quieter than the other one. And we were able to find the loud stuff, erase it, and then you could just hear what the woman said behind.
Oh.
So it's the beginning of 2 companies. All right, so Mark, I'm going to grab a patent.
Okay.
This is the original patent for the Tremolo system that we use. So that would be a ribbon copy.
Very nice.
And
it's extra fancy.
Extra fancy, right. So we had patented that we could use a roller nut, right? And then putting the lock down through here and having 2 sets of 3 bridge with the strings locked in. But here was the original bridge. Pitch stabilized string suspension system for musical instruments. And it was patented in 1982. 3 years. I got the patent 3 years before we went to market.
Wow.
So it has the screw with the notch in it, all the stuff that we did.
Yep. That's amazing.
So this would be an original copy of what we sent in to get the patent.
Yeah.
I think it's cool. I haven't
That's
pulled
very
this
cool.
out in forever. But wouldn't you imagine that you'd want to keep the ribbon copy in the safe, right?
Yes.
In a fireproof safe.
Absolutely. So I have a question. You have all these drawings. Why was it done that way? I mean, I guess.
Well, you can't order anything without a drawing.
Yeah. So, but like for the body shapes and stuff,
Yeah.
that was just a reference point for continuing to make them. Because you weren't ordering those, you were making those.
Yeah, but I needed a drawing to be able to do the duplicating system,
duplicarver, yeah.
or the jig for cutting it out on the
Gotcha.
shaper, or eventually making it on the
Right.
CNC.
So
you
you
needed a drawing.
You were ordering jigs
Everything.
and
If
using
you,
that for that.
the saying is, if you can draw it, you can make it.
Right. So with the guitars that are drawn in the computer these days, do we still also print out like a big blueprint of it?
Sure, but very, very often now, you don't have a printout anymore. I like looking at printouts. I understand them. I'm always saying, can you print it out? And people roll their eyes, why do you come from the land of the past, But I think it's important.
Yeah.
We could just know that our patent is online and not have a ribbon copy in here, but I think it's legitimate to hold a copy of the ribbon copy, right?
Yep.
Or it's not a copy, it's the real thing, right?
Yeah.
So I have ones here that I think you'll like.
What do you got?
So this is what they call the 21 Rules of Tone. It was this document written on an airplane, and Tom Wheeler and I rewrote it and rewrote it and rewrote it and rewrote it. And it's never been published. I don't want it published. I've referred to a lot of them.
It's like the Colonel's secret recipe.
Yeah. And it talks about, if you pay attention to all these rules, that the guitars, has a chance of being magic when it's done.
Yeah.
And they were originally done as, kind of internal documents, right?
Right.
And I'm sure that if we put it on the internet, people would have a field day, but it has been fundamental to our business. It works.
Sure.
So,
It resulted in a lot of changes.
I think I showed.
I've seen it, years ago.
I think I let you read it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, okay, good. Well, did
And
you
you-
think it was grounded, or did you think it was La La Land?
It all made sense.
Yeah, I
it's all
think it's very
stuff that I
simplistic.
wouldn't have thought of, but when you read it, it seemed very obvious. And definitely I've seen it translated into changes on the guitars.
If you put that out on the web, I'm going to kill you.
So why is all this stuff important, Paul?
I don't know. I think it was always thought to be important just to keep an eye on them and make sure that they were safe and putting in them as safe. But, when you hold the original ribbon copy of what's called a seminal patent, the beginning of something new, it means something, because the government's just giving you a right to do business either under that trademark or under that patent. A trademark says this is where it's made, and the government's pretty brutal about making sure people don't violate your trademarks.
Right.
A patent, on the other hand, is the right to go to court. Wait a minute, I patented that. No, you didn't. Well, then you can sue them, and so that becomes a patent thing. So I think it is important the more we talk about it.
Yeah.
You did good, man.
So did you. That was fun.
Thanks for doing this, everybody. Appreciate it. Yeah. See you, bye. This is over.
Thump.
Now you got to get back in it. Good luck.